Welcome back to Double Fries No Slaw. We are back for a pop-up episode to talk some golf with Florida State head coach Trey Jones. Trey, thanks for your time. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good. I know. I think last time we had you on the show, you were at the driving range at the national championship out in Arizona. So a little more comfortable setting for you this time, at least. But definitely want to talk about last weekend, a gritty performance by the team. Florida State punches their 27th ticket to the NCAA Golf Championships, 10th time under you, Coach. After finishing a second place ahead of the Gators, have to note that it wasn't all perfect from the start, though. It was a pretty rough first day. I believe you guys were in 8th place, so still not too far out, but definitely on the outside looking in. What was the team's mentality like after that first day? Because, like I said, it was a little rough, but it could have been much worse, obviously.
It really could have. We got off to a terrible start. I think we counted 6 double bogeys in the first 6 or 7 holes, and I think even with that, the course was playing super hard, but the way they bounced back from that point, if you look at the scores from the last 45 holes, we played really, really well. And that might have been the key, was just to be able to get out of that round. Like you said, it wasn't a good round, but it might have been the key to give us a chance to go out and play one of the best rounds we played all year in that second round.
Yeah, and kind of, sparking the comeback is Brett Roberts. Yeah, he actually goes out and wins the individual part of the tournament. But he was kind of like you guys kind of mirrored each other. He was a 74 on the first day. So yeah, not terrible, but comes back with 68, 67, wins the individual championship, over 80 plus golfers. How big was that for Brett to have that experience? Because he's had some pretty good finishes at these past 2 years, but this one had to be special for him. First time in, I think, 12 years a Florida State golfer has won the regional out there.
That's right. And that was actually the last time that a regional was won was by Drew Kittleson. And Drew won when we played at Notre Dame. And ironically, Drew will be hosting our team in Scottsdale. He lives in Scottsdale, and we're going to be out playing Whisper Rock as his guest. And that's kind of a cool thing. But with Brett being a sophomore, returning All-American, has not had the year that he wanted to have. But when you look at his play in April on, carried our team in the ACC championship, and to where we finished third, and now go out and win his first golf tournament at PGA National is certainly playing well at the right time.
Absolutely. And I wonder, because I was following along on, Golf Stat and everything, when he's heading down the stretch, those last, 4 or 5 holes, does he know where he's standing in the individual standings? Or is it widely posted out there like a PGA event? Or is he just kind of waiting till he turns his card in to see where he's at?
Great question. On the last 9, I made the decision that the player that he was playing with in the group, Fred Biondi from University of Florida, had a coach with him, had an assistant coach with him. And I wasn't going to let, and Brett at the time was, I think, 3 behind. And Fred was 6 under par and playing great. And I said, I'm not going to make Brett play 2 against 1 on the way in. So I went with Brett the entire way. He never asked where he was at. I think he got the idea that with me being with him, that he had a chance. And once the yells get a little bit louder and louder, he knew that where he was at. When you birdie the 16th hole and then the 18th hole, obviously put icing on the cake.
Yeah, and were you with him then, or did you stay out on the course, or did you go back in with him? Because the Gardner Webb kid, Zach Bryers, kind of had a chance to walk him down at the end, because I believe he was only 3 back at the time with about 8, 9 holes left. So is he watching the scores at that point? Because he had finished his round by then.
And we knew the 9 holes that were left. Obviously, anything can happen in college golf. And there's another player from the College of Charleston finishing on the other 9 that I think he made a bogey on his 8th hole that took him out. But probably the key was Brett had a 1-shot lead standing out there in the 18th hole at PGA National. And we've seen that hole on television a lot. And they use that far right pin. And Brett hit a beautiful drive. There's 3 palm trees out there. Hit it exactly where he wanted to. Then he took a 4-iron out, knocked it on the green, putted it to 4 feet. And at that point in time, he made them come get him. He wasn't really relying on what they did.
Yeah, and another great individual performance. Senior transfer Dan Bradbury, he got a top 10 finish, finished 8th, 2 under overall, went 77, 67, 70. So again, part of that rough first day, only for a beautiful turnaround. And I believe he hadn't played at competitive tournament golf in about 5 weeks. How big was that to get that performance from him?
Well, it was, and that, things happen in golf and in coaching that you just never, a round of golf is never how you think it's going to go, but a tournament is never how you think it's going to go. We showed up at the ACC tournament feeling really, really good about our golf game over at the Watersound Club. And halfway through the practice round, Dan's not feeling very well. And he's not talking. So we tell him to sit down and rest and get through with the practice round. And he still doesn't feel good. So I think he's got a stomach bug or something that, so I separate him from the team. And the next morning, we're supposed to play 36 holes for the first and second round. Dan says, Coach, I can't go. I can't play. So we pull in Patrick McCann, who was a substitute for us and had never played in a college golf tournament. Well, at that time, I made the decision to send Dan to the hospital to let a doctor see him because we only had trainers on staff. And obviously, I never have acted like a doctor and don't ever plan to start. Well, come to find out that 2 hours later, he has an emergency appendectomy while we're playing the 36-hole round. And so obviously, Dan has not played since then. And going out and shooting 77 in the first round after that probably isn't too surprising, but coming back with 67, 70 really does show the kind of player that he is.
Yeah, and you guys really made up a lot of ground on the par fives, to be expected a little bit, but 35 under on the par fives for the week. When you go into a tournament, obviously we're watching majors, we're always waiting for that par five to see, who can make a move. Do you put a lot of emphasis on that? I think the average score for you guys was a 4.12 on the par fives. So we made a lot of ground on that and played a big role in that second place finish.
I think a lot of it's about our golf team and our strengths. We're a physical team. And when I say that in golf is we drive the ball really well and we're extremely talented in our mid to long irons into the green. So if you get these holes that we kind of call par 4.5s, which are, 490 to 530, 40 yards, if I guys can get there in 2 with an iron or maybe a hybrid, then we're going to be really good and we're going to get all over them. So those par fives at the PGA National fit right into that category. And which we put the ball in play and then gave ourselves, a lot of good opportunities. And it's a very good point. You have to make birdies. And at that golf course, you were not going to get them on the par threes. And we knew where we had to get them.
Yeah, and thankfully we did there. But the performance earned you guys a trip back to Greyhawk Golf Club in Scottsdale, Arizona. You just talked about how you guys will be hanging out with Drew there. Last time, we talked about it. You were on the driving range last time we had you on the show. Is it beneficial? How beneficial to get out there multiple years to the same course? Some of these guys have done it, and now they're going back. I know you mentioned last time the intricacies of, in Florida, we're looking at palm trees. Well, here you might be looking at a cactus as your main target going out there. So it's got to be fun in a different style of golf.
It is a lot of fun. It's a great reward for the players. And we didn't start the year trying to get there. That wasn't the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal was to return and compete. With our team, we returned 3 players who played for us last year, and Cole Anderson, Brett Roberts, and Frederick Catrop. Brought in Michael Sakani, who played in this golf tournament last year for Jacksonville University and he's our grad transfer. So we have 4 players who have played here before and have 4 rounds in. So 5 actually for our guys. And I feel like that's going to be good. And where it's going to be good is the practice rounds, because we're not going to be trying to figure out a starting point or aiming point. We're going to be able to concentrate on the short game and not spend a lot of time out there any more than we need in the sun, because right now they're calling for 110 degrees on, actually 109 degrees on Friday.
Yeah, that's brutal out there. Hopefully you can talk to Coach Bond. I think her team's out in second place right now out there, so you can get the scouting report from her when she gets back on what things are looking like.
Interesting about that, we're a combined team at Florida State. We're one of 4 or 5 in the country where our men and women's program are under one umbrella. When we say that, we all work together, and my 2 assistants are out there right now helping Coach Bond because we share assistants. So when we get there, our assistants will have had 4 or 5 rounds on the golf course to help the players before the men show up, and I'm back here with them by myself, and that's fine. They don't need much, and I'm glad we're having a full staff out there to help coach.
Yeah, and how cool is it to see Coach Bond and the ladies out there? We had her and Beatrice on the show last week. Just seeing the success from them, because obviously you guys have had a lot of it recently, and for them to make it out to the Nationals, it had to be pretty cool, especially as you mentioned how you're kind of all one team under the same umbrella there.
Well, they're really good, and she's done an amazing job with this group. All of our coaches have. That's a team that finished 9th last year and was, just right there till the end, and made an amazing run to get to that point. And once again, they're sitting there with some bigger goals. They've had a lot of adversity this week when they've had a player go down with COVID. And seeing how they've reacted to that initially just shows the kind of coach that she is and kind of team they have.
Yeah, and then last thing I want to talk to you about briefly, we do have a major going on, and it looks like Brooks. Yesterday I'm watching and just assumed he was ready to get out of Tulsa at that point, because he did not look like he was getting ready for a weekend. Bounce back today. Seeing him out there, obviously Tiger, the story, he's looking like he might make the cut. Did you have a winner in mind coming in? Obviously Scotty Scheffler's been playing lights out everywhere. And looking at the leaderboard now, obviously Rory's up there, but just some thoughts on the PGA.
Well, Southern Hills in Tulsa is a great place, and it's cool to watch a golf tournament on an old golf course that's been lengthened to 7,500 yards. You're right. Anybody who didn't think that Scotty was going to play well probably has not been following golf for 4 months. But when you do look at that leaderboard with Will Zalatoris up at there at the top right now, he's from Texas. Here's a guy that ball strikes it extremely well, which you're going to have to do there. Mino Pereira's just played great, and a lot of people don't know him, but he was one of the guys starting the year that was going to be a pop-out player that we all realized. But so much golf's left to be played. The weekend comes, once they cut it down, they'll start to move the pins a little bit closer to the edges, get aggressive, and see what the weather holds out. And then you mentioned Brooks. He just got a bad draw. JT got a bad draw too, and he came out of it. But the wind picked up on his group, and you just hope to fight through that. And it's an outdoor sport, and you can't control it.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing, because even today, the guys that were out there early were really battling some winds, sometimes helping. We saw some close to 400-yard drives with some of the winds at the players' backs. And then this afternoon, it just kind of died down, and people are really taking advantage. But just looking ahead to next week, what's the team schedule look like? When are you guys getting out there? And what's the plan out once you get out to Scottsdale?
I think there's another advantage of being there before, and we're going to head out on Monday. Last year we went on Sunday, and we felt that it was a little too early, so we're backing off of that a day. We're going to head out there on Monday. We have great friends, great Seminoles, great contacts, and we're going to get the guys used to desert golf immediately, and we'll play some of the best golf courses in Scottsdale and practice out there on Tuesday and Wednesday. We hope to be watching our women's team show up on around lunch on Monday and go out and watch our women's team win and play well, and we'll support them as long as they're competing and be taking care of our business as well.
Yeah, I know the baseball team, every time they go out to Omaha, they get a nice steak dinner. Is there anything like that when you take the team out there?
Absolutely. We're starting to get some traditions in different parts, when you return to the same place. And fortunately, I've been Coach Martin has been my mentor. Levin's been my mentor since I've been here. And in 2017, 2019, he graciously invited me and my family to go with them out there. And Sullivan Steakhouse is one meal that I don't think they can duplicate in Scottsdale, but we'll do our best to try.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely be watching from afar and cheering you guys on. Trey Jones, head golf coach at Florida State University, second place at the Palm Beach Regional, heading out to Scottsdale next week to compete for a national championship. Trey, thank you so much for joining us again, and have a great night, and go Noles.
Thank you.